Hey folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Capitalism Lab. So, Enlight Software reached out to me and offered me press keys for the core game, as well as I believe 5 of the DLC. The core game is about $20, and each of the DLCs are about 10. I don't believe that these are available on Steam or other digital platforms. I could be wrong about that. I just got my press copy through their official website. I'll link that for you in the below description so that you can check it out for yourself. And I'll just quickly say up front that this is going to be more of a first impressions video. This game is very akin to Capitalism 2, which I played way back in the day, and I barely figured it out then, way back when, and playing something like it now, many years later, I'm still a little confused about how things work. It's still not the most intuitive game out there. So I'm going to take you through this manually today. I'm not going to cover everything. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of it. There's new game, load game, mod, DLC, and options. Under the options menu, you have up to 2560 by 1440. I will say, however, that you can adjust the scaling, but that also resized my window from 2560 by 1440 to something bigger. I have trouble seeing. I have very poor eyesight. So when I increase this, I have to keep adjusting OBS to match. So just be warned that it's not very good at scaling. It just kind of makes everything bigger, including your window screen, which I don't agree with. But anyway, there's full screen windowed mode here. Under regular settings, this is reset on me several times. Like if I save it and then I come back to it, I find these sliders in the middle. So graphically, they're incorrect, but actually they are correct. Like the music and volume, the music and the sound effect volumes are still low for me, but graphically they appear as if they're in the middle of the slider. So that's an issue. Like it's not reflecting very well here. So yeah, off the bat, like the back end of it could use a little bit of work. So let's go actually and get into the nuts and bolts here. There's a mod menu, which I did not touch at all, but you can mess with this if you want to. There's real world mod, there's future world mod, there's Magitech and classic content. So you can give those a go if you want to. I have not done so. DLC, as I said, I received DLC for all of this. You have to enable them here, or first buy them through the official website. But there's subsidiary DLC, city economic simulation, digital age, banking and finance, service industry, experimental DLC. I have not enabled any of them yet because I'm trying to get used to the core game first. It's actually recommended that you don't mess with DLC until you get familiar with the core game. So when you create a new game, there's a tutorial which is extremely light in my opinion. Like it shows you around the basics, but when I actually got into my custom game, I was kind of lost on what to do and how to navigate certain things. So I wish the tutorial were a bit more complete. Like it gave me the basics, but it didn't teach me everything.
You're a visionary entrepreneur who sees the potential of
There are 18 scenarios that you can adjust there, so you can cycle through those at your own leisure. Challenge game.
The once mighty industrial hubs of Detroit and Pittsburgh stand at a crossroads.
I do like that there's actually voiced content. I do like that, but I may have to turn that down. Let's go ahead and turn speech off. On occasion, you'll hear things like, you have cornered the market in beef or something or other, whatever. So anyway, let's go ahead and click new game, and I'll show you what I've been doing, which is custom game. Here, you can change your corporate color, and you can also change your corporate logo. All of this is really cool. There's a lot of different logos to choose from. I just picked the eagle-looking one, or whatever that is. And of course, blue is my jam. And then you've got, you can pick your portrait, male or female. You can toggle up here. So I like that. I like that there's some depth there. And then you can name your corporation. You can choose your difficulty level, but you can customize it further via these tabs here. And I know it's kind of hard to see. My face is actually like almost plastered against the monitor because I have trouble seeing. But you can choose the number of cities. You can choose your startup capital. You can't choose what it is specifically, but you can say very low to very high. There's random events that you can turn on or off, game starting year, retail store type. So you can like specialize if you want in a couple of different department stores. Rather than ever being like a catch-all, you can have like specialized department stores, like convenience stores, for example. I just wanted to see what was available, so I put many. Technology disruption, you can toggle that on or off. Stock market, macro economy realism. You can choose how many competitors that are in the game. You can choose their AI, like aggressiveness, expansion, pricing, expertise level, whether or not they can merge with each other, that kind of thing. DLCs, again, you can enable these DLCs from here if you want to. You can choose specific product settings. I didn't really mess with this, but I guess you can like limit what's available if you want to. And then you can also adjust your goals. I didn't touch this at all, but kind of like in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3's scenario editor, you can kind of adjust, what your goals actually are. But I didn't even touch this, and I still hit start, and the game said pick your goal. So I'm like, oh, so I guess there's like pre-planned ones in there, and I just picked the top one and went with that. So let's go ahead and load up this. I spent some time with the tutorial and about an hour or so messing around with this. And here's the city. And again, we're in 2025, so I was kind of hoping that a Capitalism remake was a bit more, nicer to look at than this. I don't mind this if it works well. Simulators typically, if it's a business sim especially, I don't mind basic looking graphics, so as long as the interface is smooth, so as long as everything else is a bit more modern. But that being said, I had trouble figuring out what it is I was supposed to do. Like, I had several questions as I was going about my business. The first thing I did was I created this convenience store down here. And to do that, there is a build menu in the upper left-hand corner. And again, it's super hard to see, I know that, but there's retail stores that you can build, toy store, sports store, leather store, and you can see in the tooltip what they specialize in, so you know what to sell there. But what's cool is that when you do put a location down, like here's my second store, I'm selling goods that I'm making, but if I wanted to, I can sort by all suppliers, or seaports for that matter. And I'm not making this chewing gum or this chocolate bar, but I can sell it if I want to at my convenience store. I'm trying to do everything myself so I don't have to worry about buying anything outright. But you can do that. So I'm filtering by my products. Right now I'm making bread, eggs, frozen beef, frozen chicken, frozen lamb, and frozen pork. Very high protein and a little bit of carb in there for good measure. All I'm missing is the cheese, really, and then I can have myself a burger party. But anyway, so yeah, I'm currently, making my own products. But getting back to what I was saying, here's the convenience store here. And there's just a lot of different ones that you can choose between. And they have different monthly costs. They have different monthly setup, or just a one-time setup. They each sell different things. You can build factories, small, medium, large. There's an R&D center, which I've not dabbled in yet. I'm assuming that just unlocks more things for you. There's farms, which I have 2 of, and that's how I'm making my cattle meat and stuff like that. Warehouses to store stuff, and then there's stuff grayed out like natural resource firms like logging camps, mines, oil well, media firms. It's very expensive. Radio stations, I'm not going to touch that yet. Headquarter building, I don't know what that does either. Again, I'm this is first impressions. I'm still trying to learn everything. Mansions, you can buy mansions, I suppose. I think that's more for people to live in. I put down an apartment building and people are just paying rent there, as far as I know. If I click on it, there's a lot of data that gets thrown at you in this very small window. But if I look to the left, it says occupancy rate 53%, revenue 67,000, profit is 35. So as long as profit is up, I don't care. So as long as I see a positive profit, I'm just going to leave it alone and hope that it does its thing. But I can adjust market rent. I can adjust a couple of other things, but I can see the demand for housing and the supply for housing. So yeah, you can just buy real estate and charge people rent. If you, instead of doing business stuff, you can do rental stuff. So there's a residential and commercial side to this. There's commercial buildings, civic buildings like police stations. I don't know what the benefit is of that, really. I don't know if you earn money from that or not. I want to wait until I have a crap ton of money before I start experimenting. And then sport facilities like tennis courts, same deal. I'm not going to mess with that until I'm familiar with it. But those are all the different building types that you could possibly put down here. Moving on, you can actually buy land so that you're not renting it whenever you put down structures. That scroll is annoying. I wish I could turn that off. But anyway, so a lot of the questions I had when I was playing the game centered around, okay, is the product I'm producing a finished good, or is it only part of what I need to like, is it a raw good that needs to be processed further? So, for example, initially I had made beef, chicken, and eggs, or milk rather, but milk wasn't a product I could sell. I had to first bottle it. Even though the picture showed, let's just make a new farm here so I can show you what I'm talking about. I'll do a medium farm. I'll put it over here. And I'm not going to save this. I'll come back to it. But so if I want to add a new product on this farm, I click on the plus button. And then out of these things, there's crops like grapes, flax, cotton, corn, tobacco, livestock. I'm going to do cattle. There's a picture of milk there in a bottle. So that's kind of misleading. I wish it said something like raw milk or unprocessed milk or something, so I knew from a quality of life standpoint I needed to process it further. But if I go and produce that right now, I can't sell it until I bottle it, and for that I need bottles. So I can either produce the bottles myself or I need to buy the bottles. And for bottles, I need like glass and other things. So a lot of A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D kind of thing. So I would really like to see some quality of life things, like maybe in parentheses, unfinished good, or, you know, something. It's 2025. I get this is like an older game, like a remake of an older game, but let's introduce things that make it easier on first-time players. There should be something in parentheses or a little symbol somewhere in the icon that says good, finished good, not finished good. That would be nice. Okay. Now, I did eventually realize that I can click on this manufacturer's guide. And from here, I got a list of all the different things that could be produced and what they make and what you need for them. Like, for example, I went to food, trying to find milk. So I'm like, okay, bread, cakes, canned corn, canned soup, corn flakes. I don't see milk anywhere, so how do I make it? So I went to semi-products. I think it's here. Don't quote me on it. It might be under... I have no idea. This is what I'm talking about. It's just not very intuitive. I know there's bottled milk in here somewhere. Beverage maybe? There it is. So yeah, I need milk, which is what I was producing, but I wasn't getting it far enough to bottled milk via the glass. So I just scrapped milk altogether and replaced it with eggs, because eggs are a finished product. So my recommendation is, if you pick up this game, the first thing that you want to do, the very first thing that you want to do, on the left-hand side, there's like goal report or stock market. It brings up the same window that you can cycle through here. Go down to the manufacturer's guide, and from here, see what products are one-offs. Like, it's a one-to-one kind of relationship. Or, ones that don't have any production at all. Like the meat, for example. I don't need to process that meat any further than the farm, which is, I'm producing pork here. I'm producing, I think, lamb there. I'm also producing, beef and chicken and eggs. All of those are finished goods. And it says can be sold in, but I didn't know that, going into this. It didn't really specify that. And what I found annoying was changing something within this production grid after the fact. Like, I was really confused. So, for example, let's do cattle and milk set up on farm. Okay, so we've got livestock growing in green, we've got it being processed in orange, and then we've got sales in yellow. Okay, but let's say I want to change that, like, or change it to something else. So I can click on raise livestock, and then I can choose like chicken, pig, sheep. So I can change it there. What if I want to change, I was trying to, I had chicken down here. Let's go ahead and put chicken. I had something like this. And I was trying to set up eggs, but I couldn't figure out how to like delete the one and link them all together. You can actually click on these little things there and get rid of them. So there's little chains that tell how things should be flowing. That all takes getting used to, and that was not covered in the tutorial that I played. So yeah, I'm not going to save this, so I'm just going to leave it go. So that was one of the challenges I had to face, was I was fighting the interface regularly, trying to figure out how to get something done. And I really hope the developer at some point can introduce quality of life things. That's another bug. If you have an animal selected and you scroll left and right, that's what yeah. So this is by no means a finished product. And there's no early access tag, unfortunately, on their website, so I really can't tell without doing more research. But yeah, there are bugs. The back end of it is not as good as I'd like it to be. I feel like, yeah, they certainly made Capitalism 2 and the like playable via this Capitalism Lab. They introduced a bunch of content for it. But you have to be willing to accept the fact that this is an archaic interface and an archaic way of playing, and it's not modernized for 2025. So should you pick this up is my point. And I'm going to go back to what I just said. If you're expecting, if you're one of those people that expect instant gratification, that's not this. I had to spend a lot of time figuring out what everything meant, and I still don't know what everything. This is going to require a time investment on my part to really see how everything ties together. So I'm sincerely hoping that throughout development, the developer can introduce these quality of life things to modernize this game so that it's accessible to everybody rather than just those that have the patience to learn it. But I'm going to just leave it at that. Capitalism Lab, again, $20 via their official website with some DLC added as well. I'll put a link in the below description. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.